Brett Brown, who was a GM and a coach, he started out just as coach. He just then, went and shared roles as a GM as well before Elton Brand came in. Brett Brown was so bad as an NBA coach. He's a white man and did not even interview for another coaching job. That's who we had as our coach for 3 to 4 years. That's what we had. We had a white guy who didn't even get another interview once he was fired. That's how bad he was at his job.
The best thing that could have happened to him is if he got fired right as soon as they started to get good.
Yeah, so he can have something.
He kind of was there for the turnaround. Let's see what he's got. Like literally, he went to the play 3 seasons in a row.
Yeah,
and was comprehensively outcoached in every series he participated.
He was
in.
God awful.
There's no unknown about him. We know he's not good.
Yeah. He was God awful. And then we moved from him to Doc Rivers. But before that, then we have the Elton Brand thing, and he destroyed our team. I've talked about that on several times. And we move to a coach in Doc Rivers, who's not the worst. He's better than what we had, but he's not very good at his job. He's not very good with making adjustments. Which is playoff basketball. He hasn't won since dinosaurs have been here on Earth. So it's like, he's okay. He's better than what we had. And then you got, then our guy Darren Moore comes in as the GM front office guy. What his problem is, he loves stargazing, star hunting. He's on the hunt for a star. So the news comes out today that we're going to get another star. Like bing bong, man, this is not working. When are you going to switch something up and go another route? What you going to do? You want to get Bradley Beal now, who's coming off a major injury? That's what's rumored. And then you're willing to give up Tyrese Maxey? Like, we've been stripped of all of our fucking assets that the great, awesome, the only man that has been a part of the Philadelphia 76ers organization, Sam Hinkie, that I respect and like on some fucking line of linear things to like. And so he's talking about maybe, the rumor is maybe trading Maxey and Thibault to get another star. All right, because Harden is more than likely going to opt in, and the best case scenario is he doesn't opt in and takes less money. We'll see what type
for more years probably.
Huh?
The trade-off would probably be
trade-off would be more years, and who wants that? So it's like we're fucking screwed either way. If he opts in for 49 or whatever that is, 50 million, we're screwed. If he doesn't, and we have to give him whatever 6-7 years, 4 or 5 years for lesser money, whatever 35 million a year, we're screwed, right? So either way, we're screwed on that end. And Tyrese Maxey is the only fucking bright spot outside of Embiid that we have on the roster. And you're talking about maybe getting rid of him just to get a hobbled Bill in, or a hobbled Damian Lillard in, or Donovan Mitchell, who's like, who really knows what Donovan Mitchell is? We know he's a horrific, god-awful defender, which y'all tell me James Harden is, but he's really not that awful. There's guys way more awful than James Harden I'm talking about NBA statistics-wise, and Donovan Mitchell is one of them.
Let's just quickly examine like the notion of the 3 stars. Okay,
that's just not it's not the NBA anymore.
Well, I was gonna say but okay, so the Heat, like LeBron, Wade, Bosh, all coming together. They were all in like kind of similar enough ages. It was kind of it kind of worked. The Lakers, remember, they like went with Kobe, Dwight, and Steve Nash. And they were like, Steve Nash was old. He broke down and got injured. Dwight was coming off of injury and was never the same player that he was pre-injury. And Kobe's Kobe. It's just, there's not a great history of that working.
It's not. I mean, you have the Boston team.
The Celtics, and that was
with KG
and Ray Allen, but they came in together, like, and they were all a little bit similarly situated age-wise. And the key to me is they had Rondo through the draft.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
the key.
You really had 4 quality
yeah.
players, and then you filled in with bench guys.
Then you filled in. The ideal NBA team, because the problem is when you get three superstars together, is if for whatever reason, if one underperforms or one gets hurt, you're fucking screwed. Because now you have George Niang and Frank Korkmaz coming in jacking up shots. And what I mean by three stars, technically we had three superstars because we had three max deals on the court. Tobias Harris is supposed to be a top 5, top 10 NBA superstar. That's what he's getting paid.
Per his pay.
Yeah, he's getting paid more than Luka Doncic. He's getting paid more than Jason Tatum. I can go down the list. All right, so that's what he's supposed to be. All right, so what happens is when you have a guy and one goes down, Embiid has some type of injury or whatever, COVID or whatever, and it happens, now you're counting on real minimum guys to step up and play major minutes. What you want is the two superstars. That way you have a max slot, you have whatever, 50, 60 million to help surround those guys with PJ Tuckers, with what's the guy with Phoenix? The guy with the dreads,
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder and Marcus Smarts, and now you have money to fill those guys in, the 20 million guys, that whatever Anthony Simons is going to be. Like, you have money now to fill in your team with those guys. And I don't understand how, like, every time I come on here and say something, it's like, how the fuck does people who make $5 million a year in the front office not know it's over for the three superstars thing? Like, what is your obsession with this shit?
How many times does it have to fail?
Like, how many times, man?
Yeah.
And I know James Harden is your guy, but it's like the writing was on the wall, man. We saw it. He was playing like this in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but you look at like the better team, like Boston, like organically drafted their big three, and then they got Horford essentially twice on relatively reasonable contracts. Yeah. And that's worked. The Heat, they bring in Butler, they drafted Bam, they drafted Hero, and and then they've kind of added some pieces there, so they have a nice depth to the squad.
Yeah, the one thwart they have is Duncan, but that's not affecting them though.
And the Warriors, they drafted their big three. And now they've had to pay them over time, but it's been able to evolve organically.
I don't think it matters if it's free agency or draft.
Well,
because eventually you have to pay.
I do, because again, when you draft a guy, it's almost like the quarterback on the rookie deal. You get to grow and build a little bit before you're paying. Like when you just go buy all three or buy 2 out of 3, that's a big hit at one time.
Yeah.
The other ones, you kind of like, they're a little bit staggered, and it allows for a little bit more organic growth.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But still, like, who's doing the scouting for us? It's just a lot of fucking questions. And honestly, I wouldn't tear the shit down, but I would take Embiid, I would take Maxey, and I would put them in a room, and then I would like order a bomb from Japan, and I would just
from Japan.
I would just...
We dropped the bomb on them. I mean, what's going on?
I would just hit the arena, and everyone else, every fucking body from front office down to the players.
Can we spare Mikal Bridges' mom?
Please spare her. Please, somebody drag her out of the building. Tell her she's
safe.
Yeah, she's safe, man. Tell her there's going to be a fire in the building.
She's going to be a part of the new 76.
I would just tear all the other shit, just tear it down. Nobody's going to take Tobias. That's the dream. We're dreaming that somebody will be a sucker and take Tobias.
But I really like your point on Morey, though.
Yeah.
He made the big move that essentially made his career for Harden.
Yeah, originally.
But then if you really think about it, they took a stab at Dwight Howard. It didn't work.
Yeah.
They let, and I know history played out poorly, but they let a young Chandler Parsons go when he seemed to be a player. And then they swung with Chris Paul. They almost got there. They swung with Westbrook. Then they swung with John Wall. I mean, it just was like, you're right, though. His history really is this sort of swing for the fences thing, and he's always struggled to find proper pieces around. And the guy we talked about earlier, Carmelo, he went there in what was kind of like, hey, this is a good move for a title contending team, and it didn't work out. So he's really, if you really look at a longer view of his career, But for the Harden move, he hasn't done a lot of great work.
No, he hasn't, man. For a guy that's supposed to have such a big positive name in that field, man, guys are just destroying him. They're like in a sense of an actual game. He's been one of the worst the last few years. He's been bottom 5.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't understand how our luck just gets so fucking extremely bad, time after time.
Who owns the Sixers?
You got it's the Harris guy, Josh Harris, and a group there.
Are they kind of like star fuckers? Like, are they attracted to sort of the bigger names that like a Doc and a Morey have, versus like finding like the next young guy who's good, like Ime Udoka or like the new front office guy that we don't know quite yet, but he's gonna do great things.
The tea leaf on them is they have absolutely no fucking idea about basketball, and to their credit and dismay, they stay out of it.
Oh, okay. So they're very removed.
So when Elton Brand and Brett Brown was masterminding and making all the moves, there was nobody to say, "Yo, maybe we shouldn't give Al Horford a max contract." Like, I'll sign the check though. That's what Josh said. Oh, you want Al Horford a max? You want Tobias a max? I'll sign the check. Give me the checks. I cash them. There's nobody to say, the fuck is going on here? This is who you want to
Al Horford.
I don't want to pay. What are you talking about? We're letting Jimmy walk? Why are you letting Jimmy walk? Who's making these decisions? And they just, they put somebody in place. Now, but sometimes that can be a sign of great leadership. Like, I'm going to put somebody in place and I'm going to be hands off and I'm going to allow the basketball people to make basketball decisions.
Yeah.
But a lot of times great owners, they step in when need to. Like, I'm not comfortable with doing this.
Yeah, you can't be an idiot. Like, I mean, you do. You have to be engaged enough to say, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah.
Again, you may not be a super bright basketball mind, but you've got to be able to give some sort of like common sense balance to what's going on and be like, are we really going to load up the team with all these old guys? Are we, like, what are we doing? And ask those questions. And in that way, you sort of hold people accountable for the decisions.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange the way that has evolved. I mean, it looks like a team that's just chasing names. And
that's it, man.
I thought it would work better than it has. I didn't I thought that Daryl Morey was a good hire at the time.
Me too.
But when I kind of look back on his record and the way he approached the season, I know like he was handed a bag of shit with the Simmons thing that he walked into.
Yeah.
But it really felt like his fixation was just on getting Harden.
Yeah.
And
the whole time.
Almost at the expense of finding other deals, even smaller deals, with the roster filler players that might have made this a better team.
And my last and biggest point, this organization has not listened to Joel Embiid at any stage, and I wouldn't be surprised, shocked, or mad if he demanded a trade after next season if we flame out again.
Okay. Well,
I was just going to detail what he's asked for.
Yeah, go ahead.
Huh?
I was going to ask you, what has he asked for? And I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he does something this summer to either put, at the very least, put pressure on the organization to say, I'm not happy with where this is going. We need to make some legitimate moves, and I want to be involved in them before I commit to doing anything. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, trade me.
Right.
But what does he demand? I'm interested in that.
So the very first thing is he was not a fan. It's been rumored. This is the only rumor out of the four things. It was rumored that he didn't particularly want Markelle Fultz in the beginning. He didn't know a lot about him, and he was more in the Tatum camp because share trainers and stuff like that, which turned out to be, it
was a disaster.
Boston they fucking raped us. They not only did we draft Fultz over Tatum, we gave them the pick, and we gave them Tatum and an extra pick to take Tatum over Fultz.
To take Fultz over Tatum.
So all right, they got that. Next was he begged the organization, the coaching staff, the front office, to just make Ben Simmons take a jump shot. Like, we're clogging the lane. We already got Big Al down here the year or two that he was there. You got all this stuff going down in the lane. Just please make him take a jump shot. You know what I mean? That never happened. They called up Ben Simmons the entire time he was there. You don't have to shoot. No, you don't have to shoot. Look at the numbers. They're a top 5 offense when Embiid and Simmons are on the court. You don't just need to shoot. Just da-da-da. Play your game. All right? And that really frustrated him. So you have that. Third is he wanted Jimmy to stay. He wanted Jimmy to stay. That was his, the best friend and teammate he's ever had in his career. He begged for that situation to happen. They stared at him, promised him something, and went the other way around. Chose Tobias, chose Al over Jimmy. All right. They didn't retain J.J. Redick. He wanted them to retain J.J. Redick. We need perimeter shooting. You want a 5 of Ben Simmons, Al Horford, Tobias Harris. Nobody's going to shoot and make threes around me. All right. That was the fourth thing. The fifth thing is he didn't want James Harden. He wanted Bradley Beal. He asked for Bradley Beal. Now, I understand Bradley Beal got injured, but if that's who he wanted, just wait. Just wait, or make the trade and fucking and just, have him sit for this year or something. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? You just, every twist and turn, you're doing the opposite of what he wants.
All of that being true, and I'll defer to you on that, I would be demanding a trade.
Yeah.
There's no reason to stay.